and welcome back to the AI Marketers Playbook, where we cover actionable frameworks to help you leverage AI and marketing strategies in your business. I'm Audrey Chia, your host, and today I have with me Annika Helendi. Now, Annika helps B2B SaaS startups scale much faster with content marketing, and she's no stranger to results. She has generated over 2 million signups for Toggl using SEO-driven content and has worked with more than 100 tech founders and marketers as a strategy consultant. These days, Annika is the creator behind the AI Marketing Masters community and YouTube channel, where she teaches practical, no-fluff AI workflows that save small teams hundreds of hours. Annika, we are so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
We would love to know a bit more about your journey, right? Did you always start in marketing? Have you always been a marketer? And then how did you start introducing AI into your workflows?
Yeah, so like 15 years ago, I started working as a marketer in-house in a regular company at first, but pretty quickly, a few years later, I ended up in Toggl, which is a startup. And after that, I've been in the tech world ever since. And that experience in Toggl really shaped me because we didn't have any marketing budget. The whole budget was my salary. So we had to try everything and anything that didn't cost anything and try to make the company grow, to get more signups. And that way I was able to experiment with a lot of stuff. And I really quickly realized that content marketing is our best bet. And by doing lots of good content, figuring out lots of different strategies, SEO and content really scaled us a lot. And that's how, during my time there, which was a bit over 4 years, we generated close to 2 million signups then just from SEO efforts. So this was a really good experience. And after that, I worked in lots of other companies as well in different roles, but it's always close to marketing. So I've been a co-founder in a few startups. I've been a CEO, but mostly in the CMO role. And for the past 5 years, I've been doing strategy consulting. And about 2 years ago, everything changed when ChatGPT was launched. Because this was really exciting. And I saw that this is something that's going to change how we all work. And I also saw an opportunity in doing really big things with a really small team. So that's what's always kind of making me excited, how to give the underdogs a bit more of an edge. I have worked with some big companies with big budgets as well, but not with that many. So usually the resources are always limited. So I love the opportunity that AI gives, and especially building AI automations. So I see the biggest wins there. Whoever is learning to use AI automations, AI agents now in the best possible way. And it's all through content in the end.
And I love that you said AI gives the underdogs a chance to win, right? And like what you do, right? You work with startups, and startups normally have a pretty lean and mean budget. Usually, when I work with founders, they're like zero cost, maximum results.
Yes,
think,
always.
I think you are very familiar with that as well. I know you talked a bit about automation, right? Can you tell us a bit more, because not everybody is familiar with the space of automation, and it seems like such a buzzword or a fluff word, right? What exactly can you do with it right now?
So maybe I can quickly show you already what my automation is doing for me. So I'll share my screen here. Okay, you can see my screen now, right?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so automation gives me an opportunity to let AI do all of the repetitive tasks that I otherwise would be spending too much time on. So this is my content system, and this, as you can see, it has 2.0 back here because it's already the second biggest iteration. So basically how it works, I'm using make.com. This is all of the automation part, but Airtable is my database. So this is where it all gets started. So here I can add ideas. So you can see some ideas here. Or as an input, I can add YouTube links. So I create YouTube videos. So I can then add a YouTube link here. And for example, one of the actions I can do with my content system with the automations is to transcribe the YouTube video. And it also scrapes the title, the description, transcript. It creates YouTube chapters. So these are the things that each one of these things takes a lot of time, especially like the transcription, but even doing the chapters, figuring out when exactly I started talking about something else. And once I have this information here, I can keep doing something else with this content. So then I can do a blog draft, a newsletter. For example, here I already generated a newsletter draft as well. So I never post it right away. It's always as a draft. Even though I spend a lot of time making these prompts really personal and really good, I always want this to sound like me. So I always go through them before I actually publish them. But just getting this draft here, it saves me so much time. And because it's using all of the information that I got, for example, from this YouTube transcript, and for example, it has the YouTube link already, then in the newsletter text, it's already linking to the right stuff. And I have built so many other things here as well. For example, I'm also linking to this other table here where I have all my like affiliate links or the other like tool links that I use a lot of the time. So here I can just say like, oh, okay, in this idea, I also want to talk about SEMrush, for example, and then it automatically takes SEMrush's link, the call to action, whatever I need to use. So I'm doing lots of different stuff here. And for example, some random idea that I had, for example, I read the book Cash Advertising recently. I love the copywriting tips there. And so I added this idea here, and then I have one workflow where I research a topic. So I created this research report. It's basically got all of the information that I wanted about the book here. And then I created carousel images for LinkedIn. And so my automation created these carousel images as well.
It's amazing that it's not just the content, but it's the content with the visuals that is generated with your automations.
Yeah. And I'm always like thinking, exactly do I want to use? And since the carousel images work so well, of course, these are all like using this one type of template, but I can add new templates as well. It just takes some time to set it all up. Yes. But once it's set up, it saves so much time. And basically, this is my kind of system, and I keep improving it. For example, there are also like LinkedIn text posts here. And here I'm using different types of like copywriting like templates or formulas, like the story post, the observational, how-to. So then I can choose like which type of post like works best with that topic. And I can, again, I'm going to make some edits to it as well before I publish. But it saves me so much time when I have all of these options, all of these drafts ready. So yeah, this is basically something that I keep improving all the time. Right now I had like 12 different actions I can do. I can do like script templates from other TikToks, for example. If I find like somebody's TikTok that is really cool and I kind of want to copy their hook or something, then I can also add it here. And then I ask my content system to kind of scrape the TikTok, find what the hook is, how it works, and then create like 3 alternative hook versions for me as well. So these are all of the use cases that I think would be valuable. And then I just figure out how to build them. And right now they are in this monster content system for me. And since I'm non-technical, it probably could be much cleaner. But I just like to build stuff in a way that it works, and I'm not overthinking like how nice it looks. So this is basically what I'm working on and what I mean by automation. So it's all coming from what I want to do anyway. So I'm doing TikToks, I'm doing LinkedIn posts and everything. So just figuring then out what parts I can automate and make easier for myself.
It's so amazing. I can imagine how much work went up front to build this, but I can also imagine how much time it would then save you after building this setup. And like what you said, you have been iterating, right, and building on this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing thing, right? Because you're looking for different use cases and then building on your current system and its actual use cases that you probably need for yourself and your clients.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something I'm always like learning, like since ChatGPT came out, like I kind of got obsessed with this topic of like using it in a way that helps me, but just like copy pasting from ChatGPT, it seems kind of basic, and I feel like everybody can do it, and the time savings in the end like aren't that big, especially if I have to like re-prompt something like, oh, this isn't good enough, let's do it again. So I feel like learning to automate this stuff gives much more of an edge. And I don't think I'm an expert on this, but I keep learning, and I really want to keep this practical for marketers. And what I see right now is that we can do amazing stuff with AI agents and everything, but most companies or even startups who should be innovative, they're not using that much automation in marketing at all.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, there's an opportunity for lots of startups.
Yeah, definitely. And why do you think startups are, not adopting it as quickly? Is it maybe like a knowledge gap, or are they still like on the fence with AI? What has been your experience?
Maybe they just don't have time.
That's true.
It feels like in the startup world right now, has been kind of like a bit of a crisis anyway. Lots of marketing people have been let go. So I think the marketing people who still have a job, they are overworked. And even though these automations would save them time, they don't have the time to kind of learn how to use them.
Yes, definitely. I think that is definitely the case because in a startup, like you are a all-in-one person, and then you still need to get a lot of your day-to-day stuff done, plus firefight. And then if you want to add on AI, you really need to be conscious about making time, right, and space for you to learn. Curious to know how long did it take you to pick up all these new skill sets, given that you said you don't have a coding background, right?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, like I'm still learning, so I can't say that I know everything, but I think building the first automation, it took me like a few days. I first took like a Udemy course on Airtable just to learn like what I can do with this tool. And even within the Airtable, you can build automations. So you don't even have to use make.com or anything like that. But after that, I kind of got obsessed and I started looking at some YouTubers who were doing these really cool automation tutorials. But what I didn't like about their tutorials was that the outputs were like, oh, and then there's the blog post, and then there's this LinkedIn post, and it looked horrible. So I really want to create AI content that looks almost okay. So we can actually use it.
I think that the difference is perhaps that maybe they are not trained copywriters or marketers, which means that when they look at an output, to them it sounds okay. But
Yeah.
as a marketer or writer yourself, you would know that this really sounds too much like AI and it's not something that you personally would like to use, right? So bridging your skill sets from marketing and copy and content with AI seems like a great fit. But when it comes to perhaps the human in the loop, right? I think you also mentioned reviewing that. How do you think people should balance using AI and automation versus that human side of things? What is that right balance to you?
Yeah, at least right now, it seems that it's a good idea to have the human input, then AI doing a bunch of stuff with your prompts that you have really like taken time to figure out. And then in the end, before you publish anything, I would also say human has to be there. So I think the most value comes this way. I think at one point it's probably, maybe even right now, but I haven't figured it out yet. It's maybe easy to automate the input, the idea generation fully as well. If the AI agent knows everything about you, does like really specific research, but right now I don't trust it that much. But I think still publishing the content, before you publish it, you have to review, you have to edit, you have to make it your own.
Yes, I think it's having that human lens, right, will ensure that the quality of content doesn't drop. And the last thing you want to do is to just copy and paste whatever AI gives you, because there still could be areas where, it's too AI-like. It's very clear that the M dashes are used all over the place, and you sort of know like, I think that's ChatGPT. So having
Yeah.
that human in the loop is definitely important. But perhaps for companies that are just starting with AI and figuring out if they should automate things, what are some basically maybe high leverage things that businesses can do, or where should they begin in this journey?
Mm-hmm. I like to say that start automating stuff that you're already doing, some type of task that you already know how the output looks like, what the input has to be like, something you're doing manually maybe every day or every week. So that's the perfect task to automate. What's a mistake that I made at first, and lots of people and companies want to do, is like maybe they don't do any video marketing at all, no experience with it, and then they're thinking, okay, we're going to use AI to start doing video. So I don't think that's a good idea. So start automating and using AI for tasks that you already know how a good output looks like. So you can evaluate if it's doing a good job or not. Otherwise, you're going to look really fake and you can ruin your reputation.
The interesting point you mentioned of a company needs to first know how to do something before automating. It seems like very counterintuitive, right? You would think that, oh, maybe I'm not doing this, let's ask AI. But the point is that if you ask AI to do something that you don't have experience doing, the output may not actually be that great because you can't guide AI and shape it in that perspective. How do you think a company can get AI to create content that, fits its tone of voice? What are some things that you normally tell your clients to look out for? Because again, there's a lot of vanilla AI content out there.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I experimented with the tone of voice and giving AI some writing examples from like previous blog posts and other stuff. I didn't find it working that well. So it seems it's like I have figured out some prompts, or I have this master human content humanizing prompt. It feels like this does a bit better job. I don't think most companies have that unique of a voice, especially in B2B SaaS space. So it's more about making the AI content sound more like a human, not necessarily like that company, because none of the companies' voices are that unique. So there are some like in the B2C space, like the Wendy's like Twitter account or whatever. Like I'm not talking about that, but that's a exception. Like mostly you just wanted to sound like a human. But I think it's more about the content of it. So it's like, I think it's more about the copywriting formulas that work. So you should put more effort into figuring out what do you want your target group to see and how to react. And like, as a marketer, often they don't even know who the target group persona exactly is, who they're talking to. So these things, I feel like these are always like baked into the automations as well, where you have to say like, you are servicing my target group, their pain points are these, their jobs to be done are these. I think if you give these types of prompts to AI, it's doing a pretty good job with the content as well. And again, like the general content humanizing things where it's like, oh, use active voice, simplify the speech a bit to the like 6th grade level or something like that. So there are lots of like things I can do there. And also more and more, I'm asking AI to add some imperfections, so it wouldn't be so perfect. So it feels like perfect text is now kind of frowned upon.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? In the past, we used to want to aim for perfect writing, but in the future, maybe adding that more human-like language, adding a bit of like cheekiness in your own
Mm-hmm.
personal stories is going to make a brand seem a lot more alive. And I
Yeah.
think as AI becomes more and more mainstream, we are going to see a lot more content out there. And I think it's going to be a much noisier marketplace. And speaking of which, right, how do you think the marketing landscape is going to change with AI?
Oh, I think this is kind of scary, but also exciting. I do feel like I'm already seeing lots of marketing people getting laid off and they're
Really?
not finding new jobs. And I think this is already because of AI, but not necessarily that the startups are using AI in the right way,
Mm.
replacing those marketing people. I feel like there's a big gap still. But I do think lots of marketers are going to lose their jobs and not get the new job because AI is going to do a lot of stuff that we used to do manually. And it's just going to be the reality. But at the same time, if you are more entrepreneurial, there are so many opportunities right now. And for me personally, I was super focused on SEO content strategies because this was my bread and butter. I was able to scale lots of startups with these strategies. But this has changed a lot as well. AI content, especially like SEO content that's informational or educational, top of the funnel, it's so easy and cheap to create it with AI. And also now the AI search engines, like you're not even going to get the click because they're going to get the answers in Google, in Perplexity and wherever. So SEO is not the same anymore. So you kind of have to relearn some new skills, kind of think about what you want your career to be. So this is what I've been doing the past 2 years as well, kind of taking a new look at what I want to do. And basically it's still the same. I want to help companies grow. And I want to, as I said, the underdogs to win against the bigger guys. And just the methods are going to change right now. And the changes are so quick that it's kind of hard to see where do they go. But at the same time, like the regular companies and even like lots of startups, they're still not using AI almost at all. So it's a weird time right now.
I think it's interesting. You brought up 2 points that I have also personally noticed. So I think marketers are definitely seeing that all feeling that change slowly. I think maybe in the US or in Europe, that change is a lot faster. In Asia, still a bit slower. But I think that when it hits my part of the world, you will see that big shift. And like what you said, a lot of companies are already thinking, how can I reduce headcount or streamline my workflows with AI? But the other thing is they are asking their interns to use AI to create an output. But that's also not the right way to do things, because unless your intern is already well equipped with the foundations of marketing, of content, the way they use AI would also be, in a way where it's not influenced by strategy, it's not influenced by, that deep experience, right? And that means output that also isn't that great, right? So the interesting space that companies need to be in is, if they want to use AI and leverage it, they still need, I believe, someone with deep experience to pair together with AI and to get things done. And I think for me, that's the future of marketing, right? Having that deep industry insight, your additional value to the table while still understanding AI abilities. So for yourself, what do you think marketers should start learning right now if they haven't already started?
Yeah, I think you're so right. Just I wanted to comment, since I am doing this strategy consulting, and I also like to check like what AI is going to say, like what is AI's version of this strategy that I'm creating for this client, for example. And fortunately, it's like, to my experience, it seems so general. Like for an untrained eye, it probably looks like, oh yeah, we should start doing all of these things, but it's not strategic. It's like it covers everything, and it's like it's not incorrect, but you won't get anywhere if you're trying to do all of these things that AI is saying. So I totally agree that strategy and my deeper experience is still needed and is still better than AI is able to come up with, but who knows how long. So that's kind of the scary part. But in terms of like where to go, you can copy me. I see that video is the medium that's still kind of hard to replicate with AI in a way that builds trust. So video-based content, I think it's worth to go into that, even though it's pretty hard. But we have to do hard things sometimes. And another thing is, learning to automate things with AI. I think this gives you the true power. And you don't even have to go too deeply into the automation space. Like those simple automations help you already so much. Like doing research with one AI module, doing content with the other module, bringing them together into one tool, for example, Airtable for me, and then you already have so much done for you and you save so much time by having those drafts already there. And if you need to change something, you change the general prompt and each time it's already better. So I think these basic automation skills are going to pay off a lot. I've looked into building AI agents as well. This is all the rage right now. But I don't actually see that many use cases, practical use cases for content marketers. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. With some agents, it seems like I can do the same stuff I can do with automations. So it doesn't really matter which one I'm doing. So I don't know. Maybe I haven't looked too well into it. But for now, like it feels like you don't have to go crazy with whatever you're hearing that's going on. Like I know it's overwhelming for most people, but just learn like the basic stuff and start doing it for your repetitive tasks, and you're already going to be so much better off than most marketers, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all the information there is out there. And if you're going to try to learn something new every day on top of your job, that's going to be, it takes a lot, right? So like what you say, right? Perhaps maybe looking at a problem-first approach, figuring out what are some repetitive tasks, things that you often do for your clients or your company, and then figuring out what are the skill sets you need to get there. That could be a better solution than hopping on the next trending tool or the next best thing. And I think agents are still really new. People are still exploring and experimenting with it. The agents that I have also noticed so far don't really perform as well as many people claim, because we're still in the early stages. But I think that is definitely going to change. But I'm curious to know also, Annika, like for new marketers, like students right now who are learning marketing, content, copywriting, what do you think they need to do in order to evolve and adapt to this new world?
I would recommend to maybe master the algorithm of one channel. Like really understand, maybe it's a short form video, maybe TikTok, then LinkedIn videos. I think this is going to be pushed way more. So But I think this may be like the same skill. So understanding what makes short form videos really click and get lots of views, lots of engagement. And I think this gives an edge over those marketers who have 10 years of experience and are also on the job market right now. Another one is maybe LinkedIn video is super popular now, or getting popular. I think there's a competitive edge that could be there if you really know like how to leverage that and like learn the skills of that. So, and how to learn it, I don't think you can go to a school for that. I think you have to just start posting and creating videos. And that's the only way to learn. Lots of mistakes and just seeing what kind of works and what doesn't work.
It's very interesting. I had a conversation with a friend who is a teacher in a school in Singapore, and the education ministry in Singapore, they had huge conversations about how do we teach our students and what do we teach them, right? Because you have the teachers who need to first understand this new skill set, and then you have students who need to understand that they have to evolve and adapt to this world, but they don't know what the future of work is going to look like. So I think we live in very exciting times for, people who are already in the workforce as well as those who are picking up new skill sets. But maybe one thing on my end is I've noticed for you as well is you have that growth mindset, right? That mentality to want to learn and grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you can't really succeed any other way. And after ChatGPT came out and became mainstream, like it's not even an option to have a fixed mindset and just to have a job anymore. I think maybe some government jobs are going to keep you for years and they're not going to notice, but overall, everything is going to change. So I wouldn't risk it to just think that your skills are enough right now.
And for businesses who are still on the fence, right, what kind of opportunities do you think AI can give them? Like, what have you seen in terms of like the perks of, using AI so far?
I think the biggest perks are for really boring businesses, like these old school businesses that figure out how to do marketing with AI or like how to do these simple repetitive tasks. Like I said, for example, usually they have some really manual process for like sending invoices or creating proposals, or maybe they get some corporations give the marketing materials from some other country. They have to translate them, do their own versions, something like that. It usually takes hours, but with AI, they could automate it and save hours every week. So I think there are opportunities for those kind of boring businesses out there a lot. For startups, I don't know, it's kind of tricky, and everybody's kind of doing AI in some way. Most of them are actually not doing it. So what I have heard in education and in business, in startups everywhere, is that the management buys like some like ChatGPT access or Copilot or whatever. And then they're like, okay, now we have AI. And even better if somebody comes and like explains like how to use ChatGPT and I don't know, like a 1 hour course or something like that. And then they say, oh, we are AI powered or AI empowered company. So I don't think we are quite there. So I think it's the companies that are going to use AI in a really good way, automate the important stuff that can be automated. And I think in marketing, the opportunity comes to do so much more with a small team. For example, my goal is to do a really big brand and products, and I want to grow my community first as well, with just being a solo founder. And I don't plan on doing like a big team, at least right now. So I want to kind of prove to myself as well that I can build these really smart automations and agents, and while learning how to do it, I'm teaching others as well. And I'm hoping that I can do this way bigger company all on my own. So I think for lots of companies, it becomes also an opportunity to do really big things with a really small team.
I think that's the beautiful part about AI, right? Like now you can run 10 times faster than before, get things done so much faster while still maintaining the quality, especially if you're using it in a very strategic way. I would like to also maybe double click on your expertise in the B2B marketing space, right? So you've worked with tons of startups and led teams to build their marketing strategies. Could you maybe perhaps share like 3 core tips that you have for startup founders who are thinking about leveraging marketing, not just AI, but just content marketing in general to grow their business?
Yeah, I think for B2B especially, I would recommend to hire somebody like me, basically who knows how to automate these systems, how to get a really good strategy going, and get your marketing team up to date with all of these systems, these new skills, knowledge, because as I see, they don't have the time to do it on their own while they are like working their full-time job and two other jobs, basically somebody got let go and now the big team is a small team. So they don't have time to kind of keep up with everything. So I would hire AI focused consultant, do a big audit, add new systems in place, new workflows, and then also have bigger goals for the content output, for example, but content output that maintains really high quality. So that's the key. So your question was about 3 things to do, right? So one is
3 tips.
Yeah. So one is hiring a consultant who kind of does a big audit and overhauls like everything you have going on in the marketing team. The second thing that I think is working really well, and I think you see it as well, is personal brands on LinkedIn, for example. So I would definitely make the CEO the main face of the brand, and I would do a video first. It is kind of hard for a lot of people, so maybe then text and images, but still taking that stance and becoming the face of the company, that would be my second tip. And the third one, actually, I'll keep my third tip as the video first. So B2B, like SEO, has been the main strategy for like 15 years now. And it pains me to say this because that's how I have been making money and how I've been growing companies, but it doesn't work the same way anymore. So the topical authority strategy where we created like hundreds of articles about different top of the funnel topics, like it doesn't work anymore. Of course, we can do it with AI, but then I would say like, let's do hundreds of articles with AI, like let's automate everything so you can see quicker that it has some effect, but not the same that it used to have. And so I would lean into more the personal brand and then video first, like long form video. For B2B SaaS, I would start creating really good middle of the funnel videos, showcasing your product, how it solves really specific niche problems for your target group, and becoming like the personal consultant over YouTube, for example, for your target group, and being super detailed and helpful. And I think this is going to help you. First of all, if you have a lot of information out there, of course, if you have the video, you're automatically doing the newsletter and everything else with the help of AI as well. And AI search engines then have more information about your product as well. So if somebody is in the buying phase, AI knows about all the features that your product has, all the use cases, if you have covered these in those long-form videos, and those long-form videos become into text-based content as well. So I would lean into that more right now. So these are my tips.
Interesting, because you have been in the like B2B SaaS space working on SEO content, right? So now that there's AI, how can brands start pivoting towards that? Do they still focus on creating articles? Do they need to adapt their strategy for an AI first search world? What does that look like?
I would focus on video first, middle of the funnel. I would kind of forget about top of the funnel overall right now, if it's not through the personal brand. Because top of the funnel, it just has diminishing returns now. And AI search engines, if you optimize for those, you're still not going to get the click. It's going to show that information, you're not going to get the click. The only time it's useful for you is if the person who is using the AI search engine is at the buying stage and they are asking AI which tool is the best. Optimizing for that bottom of the funnel, that still makes sense. And I would put all of my energy there in content creation.
And do you know if AI generated content is being penalized, or is it still like a gray area where nobody really knows what's going on?
As far as I know, it's not directly being punished by Google, but it's not working. I have seen so many sites now from clients where they have generated lots of articles with AI, or they have used more likely an agency, and I can tell right away it's AI content. And why it's not ranking, and some sites have even like lost all of the traffic, which is a tragedy. It's not because it's AI content, it's because the content is bad. It's thin content, there's no value. Like you can use AI, but then you have to know exactly what you want to say with that content. You have to treat it as the first draft. You have to add that value on your own, or you have to do really good prompts. You have to add that information as input. So if you're just doing the laziest version of AI content, then it doesn't work, not because it's AI, but because it's bad.
I think something that maybe founders and marketing teams should also pay attention to, right? Because it's easy to assume that if you get more content out, that's always a good thing, but bad content doesn't mean like good results. It's going to be bad content, bad results amplified, right? And that's something that teams should know. So
Yeah.
maybe moving forward, right, Annika, where do you see your own business? What do you envision for yourself?
I have this problem where I'm always getting excited by new things. So I have like 20 failed startup ideas somewhere. But right now I'm really focused and excited to grow my YouTube channel, which means that I have to learn about new ways to use AI in marketing in a really good way. And if I keep learning, I can teach others. And I'm also inviting everybody to join me at aimarketingmasters.com, which is my private community where I'm sharing all of those resources, the shortcuts, the blueprints for the automations and the prompts. So I want to keep this private and also give my advice and recommendations to whoever is part of that community. So being a solo founder or solo marketer or freelancer is quite lonely. So I really feel like this is the thing I really want to do for the next couple of years. So I'm really trying not to get too excited about some new startup ideas and trying to keep my focus on this.
And that sounds incredibly exciting. And I know it will be immensely valuable to so many other entrepreneurs, founders, and people just trying to get started with AI. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Annika. Where can people find you? How should they join your community?
The best way is to check out my YouTube channel, Annika Helendi. And then, aimarketingmasters.com. This is the private community. The price goes up after every, I think, 20 or 50 members. So lock in your price and join now. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Annika Helendi.
Awesome. So if I were you, I'm gonna secure that seat right now because we all know that prices are just gonna go up. So thank you again, Annika, for sharing your insights. And thank you folks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the bell for more actionable AI and marketing insights. We'll see you next week. Take care.